So once you have removed the condition 3 or actively growing mould from the contaminated zone, then all other areas that have been designated as condition 2, that is a elevated organic load because of the mould that was growing in its vicinity, needs to be dealt with in some way. Now first you need to assess what can you clean, and if you can clean it, how are you going to clean it? So here we have some items that you'd find in most homes where there might be contamination. So a couch like this, which has got soft coverings and cushioning, really there's no way of salvaging that if it has been exposed to high organic load. Every time somebody sits on that couch, it compresses out, and when they stand up, it sucks in whatever air and contamination is around it. So there's no way you could salvage something like this couch here. It may be a little bit different, with a couch that doesn't have a porous covering, something like a leather couch or vinyl. However, bear in mind that it still has the problem of the compressing cushions. So again, the likelihood of being able to decontaminate a couch like this is very, very remote. Hard surface items such as coffee tables, furniture, musical instruments, things like this, they usually can be salvaged quite successfully. The way to do something like this would be to first go over it with a HEPA vacuum cleaner, nice and slowly, and then give it a wipe with a damp rag and some detergent. After that, you can look at doing something with an antimicrobial if you wish. But don't forget, if you're going to salvage something like this, it has to be done outside of the contaminated zone, and you have to get all surfaces, including underneath. A piece of furniture like this one here would have to, again, have all surfaces cleaned. All the items inside each drawer and cupboard would have to be pulled out and cleaned through page by page. The inside of the drawers and the inside of the carcass itself will have to be cleaned thoroughly. Whenever you salvage any item from a contaminated home, you should do some post-sampling or get somebody else to do some post-sampling to make sure that the decontamination is complete. Electrical equipment can pose a challenge in that spores can end up inside some of the circuitry which you aren't qualified usually to open up and clean out properly. So items like this need to be discussed and handled on a case-by-case basis. For example, if a guitar amp like this one is worth $100, it's probably not worth the effort of salvaging it. If though, for whatever reason, is worth $1,500, well, obviously things change and it may be worth pulling it apart and cleaning it out properly, but you'd have to engage other parties to assist with that. Here we have a cane basket, which is semi-porous by nature, a high-risk item, and probably with the right amount of work and effort could be cleaned. However, that cane basket, I happen to know, costs $15 from Kmart. So the question needs to be asked, would you bother, or would it be better just to replace it and not carry that risk of leaving contamination in there? Over here we have a Oriental Poof, which is leather on the outside. If it's inspected properly and we see that there's no form of condition 3 growth on that, you can't see any mould, it's just that it's particulate that may have adhered or been sitting on the surface, well, quite possibly that can be cleaned up by the same method of HEPA vacuuming and then wiping it down. In this case, it would be a little bit different because we could open up the zipper and pull out the padding, throw the padding out and replace it, clean the inside out. So we could quite possibly salvage that without too much effort. HEPA vacuum cleaners are the best way to remove the top layer of particulate that may be sitting or settled on a surface, including mold spores and hyphal fragments. So HEPA vacuuming everything first to reduce the amount of sediment is a really ideal way to start off with your condition 2 clean. With this particular type of vacuum cleaner, we have the normal floor tool, which can be used carefully over surfaces including tabletops, walls, ceilings and the floor. Don't forget when you're using this type of cleaning method that your pace of cleaning needs to be quite slow, a lot slower than what you would normally be used to doing in a domestic cleanup. Another handy way is with a hand brush like this. I like this one because it's got unidirectional bristles on it, and it can be used to really clean into corners and scrub it up while using the vacuum nozzle to pick up anything that comes loose. And this can be used to brush down all types of surfaces, including the underneath of tables and benches and the insides of cupboards. Another useful tool, of course, is our handy old rag or microfiber cloth and some normal detergent. Now, there's all sorts of products you can get to replace normal detergent. Some of them have really good properties that you may want to explore. But in any case, just using a nice, deliberate method of wiping down surfaces is likely to collect anything that the HEPA vacuum leaves behind. For larger surfaces like walls and ceilings, a microfiber pad such as this one can be useful. By putting detergent and warm water into the bucket, rinsing out the pad, and then again in a very slow and deliberate manner, making sure that you get every square inch of the target surface. Remember to rinse out and clean your pad very regularly, because you won't necessarily see the contamination that's coming off, but it will be adhered to your pad, so you need to flush it out so you're not just pushing around the wall. Once you have finished your Condition 2 clean, don't forget to wipe down all your equipment as well. I cannot stress how important the Condition 2 clean is. The first thing that your hygienist will be looking for is traces of dirt and dust left in all the little corners that most people would miss. So make sure you get into all those areas. Do your cleaning in a very slow and deliberate manner across all surfaces and across all the corners, so that you can make sure that you get the job done right the first time.